So you're dealing with a lot of the stuff that you work with deals with weaponry within the Department of Defense.
Let's um, good question. Um, because so we have security accreditations from, the lowest level of DoD, um, which would be called impact level 2, and controlled unclassified information. So there's impact level 2, 4, 5, and then classified region, which goes secret, top secret SCI, or sensitive compartmental information. Once you get to IL5, which is kind of middle of the row, those start being classified as national security systems and above. And often those are on a need to know basis, meaning while we might provide an environment for the autonomous capabilities organization for Air Force, we don't have direct sight into all that they're doing in that environment. Because similar for, let's say, the Department of Defense high performance computing ecosystem. So we are the access, security, and orchestration platform for all supercomputing for DoD, and have we serve access tools and all kinds of different stuff to that community of users, which crosses every branch of service, all the research labs, um, and they have a mission to serve R&D, the Defense Research and Engineering Network, which is doing conducting research across, weapon systems to health to flight plans, all types of. There's a wide variety, so it's really hard to put a cap or a limit to just weapon systems. But certainly modeling of weapon systems, simulation of various warfighter situations, for planning purposes and kind of speed of decision making. We enable, all modeling, simulation, and digital engineering as well. Yes, weapon systems is in there, and yes is everything else too, from sustainment, maintenance, personnel, training, education, all kinds of very interesting stuff.
That's very interesting. I myself have spent some time in the Department of Defense. I held a top secret SCI, and I also had CI polygraph.
Oh,
My
are you looking for
fourth,
work?
if you want a Linux propeller head, we can probably talk about some potential business. I'll
Okay.
give you a little bit about my background. Unfortunately, you're familiar with Salt, Puppet, and all those stuff. Those commercial off-the-shelf configuration tools basically put me out of business because I used to
Hmm.
do a lot of turnkey installations. Some that came to mind, you probably remember when we used them at the time, which I kind of miss in the Department of Defense, the security readiness reviews, and you had your own ISO person, you dealt with them as opposed to everything being dumped in a centralized location where you're always constantly reinventing the wheel. We already told you this was a false positive for the following reason. I had spreadsheets when I dealt with the ISOs. And one of the things that came to mind is it used to be a 4 to 6 week process to put these systems on an authorization to operate. The team lead said, Glenn, I need you to get in it. He loved my shell scripting skills where after 4 weeks, depending upon the Unix or Linux server with the packages, you can have anywhere from 40 to 90 plus open findings. After you ran
Hmm.
my scripts, what used to be a 4 to 6 week process, I knocked it down to 1 minute. And where this
Wow.
became full circle, because my nickname in Chicagoland area was Mr. Regular Expressions. I mean, I even with the
Mr.
Air
What?
Force, Mr. Regular Expressions. It's pattern
Okay.
matching. I did a lot of
Okay.
pattern matching for conversions. In my early days, I used to convert COBOL code. I ran sed
Oh, wow.
filters to go ahead and, sometimes with a COBOL compiler, you have a read with an implied lock. Other times you have to specify lock in the record. So in those particular situations, I had to, when they're going from one compiler to the other, go through these filters and save them a lot of time if they had to do that manually. One of my other ones was the Department of Defense had Air Mobility Command, where they're moving military inventory worldwide. And what they needed to do, because they were in a virtual environment, they 1 month they can have 3 servers, the next month they need 6, another month they need 5. But when they're adding servers, they couldn't wait for the 4 to 6 week process. They wanted the ability to be able to install that server, have it ready for an authorization to operate the next day. So it's operating the next day. So I, through the Kickstart capability, gave them the ability to build a server in 30 minutes, standalone or virtual, that was ready for an authorization to operate. And it
Cool.
was very impressive. And one of the things that was kind of interesting, as you probably know from working with the Department of Defense, excellence is not equality there. There's a lot of good old boy networks. Basically, I was down here in the Charleston area, Spay War down Nywick. It's like your success has nothing to do with how good you are. It's whether or not you're liked. Because I used to rub a lot of people the wrong way, personally, because I was like, get the job done. A great story I'll share with you. There's a lady I worked with. Unfortunately, she passed away, and she was considering me for the Joint Explosives Ordnance Disposal Project. That was the collaborative workspace to diffuse explosives. And she came to my cube. She goes, there's a lot of people that don't like you, because they were basically saying, you don't want Glenn, he's a mistake. She goes, I don't like them either. So I want 5 references from the commercial world. So I gave her 5 references. Excuse me. So she came to my cube and she said, I don't know what the hell you do. I only know how to spell systems administrator. Your references were impeccable. The first words out of their mouth is, how come you don't have Glenn on your staff? So here's your marching orders. You keep my butt out of jail, my system's compliant, and my security clearance intact, and I'll leave you the heck alone. And best marching orders I ever had. And one of the things is,
Yeah.
when we used to, when I had to discuss technology with her, when the discussion was getting to a point where I didn't need to have ears listen to them, we went to a conference room, and she's like, I'm staying in my cube. I said, no, ma'am, even though you are my boss, you do not have this as an option. We are going to a conference room. I did whiteboard sessions because she was a business lead. She wasn't there to be paid for technology, understanding technology. And I got removed for the project to work on something else, and in 3 months she got removed. He says, now I understand why we went to a conference room, because she got burned where somebody ran to a section head. She's incompetent, she doesn't know what she's doing, and they got rid of her. And it's unfortunate because she was an excellent project lead. So
Yeah.
yeah, I know all the patent place drama that you can have at a Department of Defense site. I also personally have been burned. That can be a conversation down the road, where I got burned by the DoD, where 2 individuals committed perjury and they're enjoying 6-digit salaries.
Oof.
And it was a nasty situation. I'm still trying to find a lawyer that can fire or sue Joint Base Charleston Security Forces, because basically they never checked swipe access logs, because these alleged threats that I made, I was never on the base, never in the computer
Mm.
lab. But they said I made these threats, which is not a threat, because basically, I don't want to get too political, but I hold Fauci responsible for my mom's premature death. She was in a lockdown situation, and my wife and I
Yeah.
avoid this argument because I'm very familiar with dementia, and Alzheimer's is very slow, progressive disease. When she had the lockdown where she was at here in the Charleston area, within 3 months, she didn't know how to dial a telephone or how to buckle a seatbelt. That's not
Mm.
dementia or Alzheimer's. So I was very
Yep.
irritated with that. And my
I'm
statement
sorry to
was,
hear that.
yeah, appreciate that. I said, Fauci deserves the death penalty. He doesn't deserve the air that they breathe. They claimed I was making that accusation towards other individuals. But the problem is criminality. That's not a threat. That's an opinion. If I say I'm going to take you out, that's a different story. But unfortunately, I haven't found a lawyer to recoup my income. Well, getting back on track,
Well,
the
I just put into chat a law firm that I'm quite familiar with, and happy to connect you to an attorney there that
okay,
they would be probably not against at least helping you make some decisions. And they have the chops. You'll see they have quite deep experience in holding government accountable.
Okay, so I'm pulling up chat. I'm going to see if I've got it because there's nothing showing up in chat yet.
Oh, okay.
I
Weird.
see it says this call is being monitored and transcribed. That's all it's saying. I don't see anything.
Oh,
One of the things I can do, Fred, is I can email you and then you can send me their contact information if it doesn't show up
okay.
in chat. That'd be great.
Yeah, shoot me an email. The law firm is called Ward, Ward, Barry, Berry. And I just put their website on there. Amanda, well, Amanda wouldn't be the right person, but what's his name? I think I can connect it to one of the namesakes here. Um, that's what they specialize
Yeah,
in doing exactly what
I
you
would love
described.
to do it because basically I lost $400,000 in revenue as a
Yeah.
result of this. So that's great to know. So as we come up full circle, because again, what I want to be able to remind you now, um, we're going to work on what you're currently working on. What would you like to promote, such as like the gateway in that podcast, the business focus, the obstacles, the lessons learned, the professional wins, your future plans, and how AI plays into your thing. And because one of the things I think this will go over real well based upon your background, because you've been involved with operational leadership, commercial growth, and technology commercialization. And I know Infinite Tactics has an excellent reputation. So this will be all great for us to be able to have a podcast which will be published. However, in the publishing process, there will be a situation that I will provide that for you to review. And if there's anything that needs to be filtered out, you can go ahead and tell me what you need to have filtered out. That way,
Okay.
we're all good with being able to promote Infinite Tactics. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that should be pretty good. What is the name of the podcast? Sorry.
It's just it's no there's no specific name. My company name is Stafford Atlas AI.
Okay.
Basically we have a different way of wanting to partner with people. We're not into selling. We're into learning about your business. One of the things that's going to happen after the podcast is there's going to be a discovery. We will have a discussion of what we learned about your business, what types of agents that we can make available to you that you might be able to take advantage of. In our line of work, we're not there to reduce employees or
Right.
reduce headcount. Our purpose is to come up with agents that allow you to streamline your business. For example, I don't know the answer to this right now. However, I'm going to say this hypothetically. Conceivably, you can have individuals that do a lot of manual labor. We can take a look at software as a service, what agents that we have that can automate that, such as reporting, where then they can focus on development. We
Right.
have agents that work in that area.
Cool. Yeah, I'm tracking. So, are there example podcasts that you guys have already put out? Um,
I will have to see if I'd be willing to see if I can find some podcasts out there. Personally, I just started this business because I've been unfortunately out of work for too long. Currently, I work in a cigar bar lounge, so if ever in Charleston smoke cigars, we can have a cigar together.
awesome.
And The guy that owns the cigar place, very good individual. He was an entrepreneur when he was in high school. He has a lot of enterprises. He's very well connected. His name's
That's cool.
Calvin Jenkins, and he goes by the nickname Hollywood. Don't know why he got called Hollywood. However, he has Hollywood Enterprises. But yeah,
There you
we
go.
can. So, how does your schedule look? Today is Thursday. How does Monday look for you?
You said Monday, the
Yes,
22nd.
yes.
Should be good after 3 p.m.
Okay, so I'll plan on booking 3:30.
Okay.
They'll give you some grace period. And again, this is, totally relaxed, conversational, nothing to worry about because basically, we're going to have a conversation. You're the expert. You're going to pretty much do most of the talking. I'm just going to facilitate the brain tease to get you going to be able to talk about what your company does.
Okay.
Okay?
And would you supply like here's like I've done since I've been at Infinite Tactics like 3 years, I've not done any PR or things like this specifically, but in the past I had, and oftentimes they'll share here's obviously you've shared we want you to talk about the company, product lines, problems you're solving, problems you're facing or have faced, or kind of what got you to here, the kind of stuff. But if you have let's say either an agenda or here's 10 questions, how long is the podcast or
Podcast
interview?
usually, podcast usually lasts no more than 45 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes. If you'd like
Okay.
for me to be able to provide you a list of questions in advance,
Yeah,
I'll be
that'd be
more than
great.
happy to do that. I got no problem with that.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that'd
we'll
be excellent.
go for 3:30 on Monday. And Fred, I appreciate you taking the time from your busy schedule to speak with me. And I'll
Yeah.
be in touch also via email to get the contact of that law firm.
Awesome. Yeah, shoot me a note. I'll send you that, and I'm happy to make a warm intro as well.
I appreciate that. You have yourself a wonderful Thursday.
You too, Glenn. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.